Hi folks, this is Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Today I want to show you how to add an 8-pin plug to a decoder wiring harness. We're going to start by using a pair of strippers here to remove about 1/8 of an inch of insulation from the ends of the wires in the harness. This is in preparation for installing them into the pins themselves, which are hollow. It only takes a little bit of effort to pop these off. This particular set of strippers that I'm using are fairly inexpensive, $5 from, I believe, All Electronics is where I got these. I've got about 4 or 5 pair of these sitting around the layout that I use for all kinds of wire stripping jobs. They're nice, sharp, and do a fairly easy job. You can set these to any given wire diameter you want, and they just basically do the job for you for a very cheap price. Okay, these are the materials that I'm using for the 8-pin plugs. Notice that we have the plugs themselves that are cut with a razor saw from the bigger strips shown in the background. This first one is thicker than the other one. The first one came from All Electronics. The thin one came directly from Samtech. You can buy it from DigiKey. Now what I've done here is put the smaller low profile pin into a larger one, and that's mainly to hold it and keep any distortions from occurring due to softening the plastic while I'm soldering. I then pop that into the hemostat, which helps hold it still, but also acts as a heat sink. Okay. Let's begin by tinning the ends of these wires now that they've been stripped. Just want a little bit of solder on the wires. Mainly it serves to stiffen them up a little bit so it's easier to maneuver them into the pinholes once we get ready to start doing that job. Also, it helps in advance to just twist the wires a little bit so that you don't have any stray wires sticking out. If you look real close, that black wire in the background that I'm about to do has a wire sticking out, and see, there I've got a flared piece of solder there. I'm going to have to go back in a minute and smash that down, or it's not going to fit inside that opening. A couple of more of these to do, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, let's begin by filling the holes with some solder. Now these pins are empty and hollow so that the solder will wick right down in there. I like to best have a little dome of solder form in the opening. If you notice, there's a couple of them here that are sunken, and that's not quite as good, and I'll probably end up going back as I do this job to fill those in a little bit better. Okay, let's start in pin 1, which is the orange wire. Just goes right down in there, cools, and you can let it go and move on to pin 2, which is the yellow wire. This one's a little bit trickier. I'm going to skip pin 3, and hopefully I'll have time to tell you about that in a minute. Pin 4, the black wire. Now let's flip this rig around so we can you can see what I'm doing on the back side. Okay, pin 8, the red wire. And then we'll go to pin 7, the blue wire. That's your function common wire. The white wire comes in next. That's your headlight wire. And finally we'll do the gray wire in pins 5. Now I've actually, I've edited this tape so that it looks like it doesn't take very long to do this, but it was several tapings to get all this done together. Okay, let's let it cool now and then pop it apart. Just a pair of tweezers slipped in there is all it takes to pull it apart. After you've done 2 or 3 of these in a row, you can get a fairly professional looking job, like something right out of the factory. Okay, I said I didn't usually attach that green wire, and the reason for that is if you insert the 8-pin plug backwards into a socket in a locomotive, you can end up shorting out your function common. And you don't want to do that, obviously. If you be real careful, you can go ahead and install it if you want to use that green function. Good luck with it.